Welcome to my channel. I'm Gary Wiryawan, and today I want to talk about this awesome all-in-one lens, the Panasonic 14-140mm. Now before we continue with this video, this is just a quick reminder for you to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you, and let's continue with the video. So today, I want to talk about one of the first few lenses that I got from Micro Four Thirds that I still love until today. It is the Panasonic 14-140mm f3.5 to f5.6. So this is a lens that many people call the super zoom lens, because this lens can zoom from normal wide angle 14mm all the way to telephoto 140mm. So this is the kind of lens that you need if you want to take a photo of something that's zoom out and zoom in and everything in between. As I said earlier, this is one of the first few lenses that I bought for the Micro Four Thirds, and in my opinion, this lens is the essence of Micro Four Thirds philosophy at that time. The lens is small, portable, lightweight, and high quality. Excellent. Compared to other lenses of similar category, this lens doesn't have too many compromises and it's quite small. Now before we talk about the detail of this lens, let's first talk about the category of super zoom lens. Now in my opinion, when we talk about super zoom lens, it's usually when we're about to travel. Because when you are traveling, you don't really know what you're about to encounter, and you don't really have the time to change lenses when the opportunity occurs. And having a lens like this that can zoom in and zoom out all the way, it will help you to capture all those spontaneous moments that you encounter during travel. You have the luxury to zoom in and zoom out as you need, and you'll be guaranteed to capture all the moments that you need. So basically, with this lens, you can basically take any kind of pictures that you want. So now let's talk more about this lens. So this lens has some great things going on. First, it is sharp for a super zoom lens. Now usually a super zoom lens like this is less sharp when compared to a normal lens that has a smaller focal length range, and this lens is no exception. But for me personally, it is sharp enough for most of my needs, especially non-professional requirements. And speaking from my experience, this lens is quite sharp from the middle focal length, from 20mm all the way to 100mm. And when I compare this lens to other lenses of similar category from other brands, this lens performs sharper than the other ones. Next. Now, as I mentioned before, this lens is smaller and lighter when compared to super zoom from other formats and brands, and that makes this lens very easy to travel with, and that means that you are more likely to use this lens and be able to capture anything that you need. Next. In addition to that, this lens has a very nice close-up focus capability that might be able to help you to get a shot of something that is very small and close, which means that you can use this lens for semi-macro shots. So what kind of image that you can take with this lens? Well, basically with this lens, you can take anything from landscape photography, portrait photography, street photography, travel photography, general purpose photography, scenery, wildlife, and anything else. Basically, it's every kind of photography and video that you need, except maybe some ultra wide or ultra long telephoto, which this lens cannot provide for you. Wow! As a bonus, this lens has a built-in image stabilizer, so that if you are using older camera bodies that doesn't have sensor stabilization, you can still use this lens to achieve smoother video footage or to take image at slower shutter speed. Alright, enough for the good things. Now let's talk about the bad things. So what are the negatives of this lens? First, this lens doesn't have large aperture. Most super zoom lens doesn't have large aperture, and this lens is no exception. At 14mm, it goes all the way to f3.5, which is not so bad. But when you zoom it all the way to 140mm, you only get f5.6. But it is still okay, because most of super zoom lens, when you zoom it all the way, you can only get to f6.3, which is not large at all. Next. This lens is also not at its sharpest when it's on its widest and longest focal length. Shooting at both 14mm and 140mm will not give you the sharpest result. But that doesn't mean that this lens is not sharp, because at 14 and 140mm, it's still sharp enough for most of my casual needs if I don't pixel peep too much, which is what this lens is meant for anyway. So I think this is not a huge deal for me. Next. This lens is a bit expensive. Compared to other brands and other format super zoom lens, this lens is a bit more expensive. The 14-140mm is as expensive as the more higher quality 12-35mm f2.8, which is a professional lens. But you are paying for a higher quality lens when compared to other super zoom from other formats and brands. So I think that is justified.
Excellent.
So in conclusion, this is the only lens that you need if you travel a lot, don't want to change lenses too often, and want a lot of zoom range. As long as you don't need large aperture or ultimate sharpness, then this lens can be your all-in-one super zoom lens. So that is all for today's video. I hope you find this video to be useful. Please don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, by sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you and goodbye.